Hi, welcome to my channel, Hari EXP. In this video today, I want to share with you my views and thoughts on understanding addictions in our life. Addictions means what type of addictions, why they happen to us, their purpose, and how to deal with them. What help is available for us to deal with them. All that stuff I want to share with you in this video. So first, let's understand what is an addiction. That means it's basic understanding. Addiction is when we are doing an activity or we are taking any substance um, and we are unable to stop it even though it is causing us intense harm. So if we are doing that, then we can term it as addiction. So why we experience addictions in our life? Addictions are of two different types. The first one is substance addiction, and the second one is behavioral addiction. Substance addiction means when we take any food item or any item which is in the form of like food or like smoking or drugs, medicines, etc. And behavioral addiction means when we are doing certain activities like hobbies to the point of harming ourselves, or the staying with toxic friends. These are these come under behavioral addiction. So now, whatever it may be, whether it is a behavioral addiction or substance addiction, the addiction is the main point here. What is actually happening? Addiction is because of our attachment towards this particular activity or a substance, and we are unable to leave it even after its purpose is over. For some purpose, people usually go into these things, be it exploration or experimentation, or like just for fun, or as a part of their life, or to reduce the stress hormones coming from the stress in our life, to counteract on them, and to provide happy hormones. These things will help substances or activities. But when it is time for us to detach from that, but we are not doing that, it is an indication of over-attachment. So attachment is not bad here actually. When we are supposed to do a particular thing, we naturally need to get attached to that. And when its purpose is over, we need to detach from that. And again, when its purpose is there in our life again, we need to attach to it again. And then when its purpose is over, then we need to detach. So from time to time, we will attach to the things and we will detach from the things. And this is how we will navigate in our life with various activities and life situations. So if we are supposed to do a job, we need to make ourselves attached to that work, to that job, to that identity, to be there and do that job. But when it is creating a lot of mental stress, or we are unable to resonate with that job, there are toxic behaviors, and we need to leave that or deal with the thing in certain way, in some way, but we are not doing that. And time has come for us to leave that, because new chapter is going to start for us. And in this moment, we will feel a lot of suffering in a conflict. So we are entering into a phase of a state of over attachment. We are overly attaching to that job, whereas we are supposed to detach with grateful feeling. We can feel grateful for those years or months we worked in that job, and we can slowly move towards the other chapter, new chapter. That means we need to detach and get attached to the new chapter, new life situation, new job. So this is how attachment, detachment continuously happen in our life. So addiction is one such thing. It is actually an attachment. Here I would like to give an example of my life where I had to take this coffee. Coffee addiction happened in my life. It started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and I got that feeling of having coffee because my parents usually have coffee every day in the morning. So I got this natural feeling to have that coffee, and I asked them. So they gave me when I was around 4 years old or so. And I started to have coffee from that age. And after gaining knowledge on nutrition, information, diets, etc., when I was in my 20s or early 30s, I learned why that coffee addiction happened. Because I couldn't stop that, even though I feel like so anxiety, jittery from that. I can know that it is happening. But if I don't have that coffee, I'm getting some symptoms like cravings or headaches and all other such stuff. So I don't have knowledge how to deal with the coffee addiction and leave the coffee when it is not helpful for me anymore. So based on the knowledge of on diets and foods and their nutrition, I learned coffee provides us, caffeine in coffee provides us some good benefits, like it can reduce the inflammation coming from high carbohydrate or high GI foods in large amounts. When we are taking them in large amounts for our energy, we will develop a lot of inflammation inside our body. So when I was 3 years old or 2 years, 4 years old, I was given the high carb food. Naturally, parents will feed us with the high carb food, like rice, wheat, and all of that. So I was having them as part of my life. My parents are feeding me with them. And they're also providing the protein also. But along with that, I was having this inflammatory foods at their age. But you see, when we are children, our control is not in our hands. We can say no, yes, but if our parents are not aware of the negative effects of high carb diet, high GI foods, naturally, I can't know about this thing until my late 20s and early 30s. Then how can I expect my parents to know about these things? Moreover, at the time, there was not that much of internet, only magazines or books. Right now, I have internet and I've been studying the research articles. There is a lot of research going on, and we can also experiment, explore ourselves with the help of them. With that only, I could understand all these things. So at the time, I got this feeling that wanting to have coffee is what it was coming from my inner guidance. But why? So there was this stress hormones and inflammation happening because of the high carb diet. And the only thing that is available to me for reducing the inflammation or reducing the negative effects, it was coffee. Because my parents, they were also having coffee, I can easily have that access. So I got to that. So with the help of that, I could study during my schooling, college. It didn't interfere with my life at the time. Maybe some sweating was there, and stomach burn used to be there, like intense that hungry feeling, that burning hungry feeling. But I can say it came from the coffee. There is in this high carb or high GI foods also in the equation. I can't just say coffee is doing that. So that was a combined equation happening. And after college, I started to feel like so jittery anxiety. So I stopped it for some time. And again, I couldn't stop that. And I used to have that. So it happened like that for so many years. And one day, I couldn't take that anymore. Even a little bit is giving me a lot of anxiety and also the jittery, that kind of feeling, a lot of sweat, intense burning inside the stomach. And then I felt like this. Okay, stop coffee. How I got that? I got that naturally after um, that feedback coming from my body. I could understand, okay, this is not good for me anymore. It is doing something. So I experimented with it. So I used to have the coffee and I used to observe what is happening. It all happened some months before my enlightenment. And before that, also, I dealt with so many addictive behaviors like toxic friendships. We will be sometimes addicted to the hobbies also. We can be addicted to meditation also. Even the meditation is helpful for addiction. And then meditation can itself become like an addiction. How? Because people are escaping. During the meditation, and we feel like so high of that bliss state. When we want that all the time, people naturally go into that meditative state for excessive periods, and they want to stay there instead of staying here, working here. So it is an escapism. So it interferes with our life. Meditation is necessary to connect with ourselves. But after that, we have to be aligned with ourselves, soul, and later mind, and then body. And we need to do the activities here. That's for why we are here. If not, why do we carry this body and mind? Just souls can just wander all over here, right? So meditation can also become an addiction. So like that, we have several substances and behaviors which make us go into this state of addiction. It is actually an over-attachment, and we need to practice the detachment. I can right away stop the coffee just like that. It is because that's not how it works. Even if I do that, it is called as cold turkey mode. That means we need to stop it right away. And whatever that happens, we need to bear with that. Coffee is a bit easier compared to the other substances out there. There are other substances which are more debilitating for addictions. And coffee is still better. We have frameworks for that. I started to look for the help online. So people who navigated through this path and how it worked for them, they wrote articles. And I studied them, not just one, so many articles. I also watched videos. If any videos are available, I used to watch them. And after gaining knowledge and identifying what is for me, it needs our inner guidance. So I figured out how to do it. So I utilized a framework, which I modified it according to my thing. And then I was able to come out of that. And it is for coffee. Different things will have different frameworks, but underlying process will be the same. It is from an attachment, we will be slowly move towards the detached state. And we have different frameworks for different things. So for coffee, it will be like slowly reducing the amount and share with you how what type of framework I used for my coffee addiction without much problem. And different things have different frameworks. So I had to reduce the amount of coffee in a very negligible amount. Say I was having around 500 ml of coffee. That means coffee means milk plus coffee plus sugar type. It's a milk-based coffee. So 500 ml of coffee, and I need to reduce it like 5 ml. That means 495 ml. And then after 2 days, 490 ml. And then after 2 or 3 days, 480 ml. Like that, we need to reduce it in a very small amounts. And in this process, when it may happen like after 30 days or so, we will come down to around like 20 ml or 50 ml. So after that, when we stop it, we will experience headaches. So it was all shared by the people who walked through that path and shared their insights through articles, books, and videos. So I learned from them, and I know, okay, I'm going to get headache. So how can I deal with that? So depending on that headache level, already I was suffering from migraine. So I got used to that suffering. So I got that headache, and I had to take the over-the-counter painkiller for that. After 1 or 2 days, I was able to come out of that. And then it was like suppression and repression. Like after some days, I'm getting this feeling like, again, go and have coffee. It didn't stop there. That's a temporary thing. So I understood that I need to gain more knowledge about that. There is something else to learn, to gain knowledge. So it is high carb diet, high GI diet. That means when I have a breakfast which contains high GI foods, high carb foods, then it gives me a lot of inflammation, so many stress hormones, and it will put this body in an unbalanced state, which we don't need that. That's why we are having access to the keto diet, carnivore diet, low carb diet, moderate carb diet, low GI food diet, and also high GI foods can also be enjoyed. I enjoy that, but it's like when I want to enjoy the taste, I will enjoy that. When I want to enjoy my health, I will be doing the proper diets where I don't eat them that much. So like that is a metabolic flexibility I've been utilizing in my life right now. So when we are in that high GI, high carb, so much of inflammation, so much of stress hormones are happening, then we need something here. And so my inner guidance is again telling me, like, this body is saying, go have something which is anti-inflammatory. The information of anti-inflammatory food is coffee for me, because that's how I accessed during my childhood. I did that for several years. It helped me. And it also entered into a state where I feel like it is not helpful that much anymore. So after gaining this knowledge, I could understand the purpose of coffee. Just leaving the coffee without understanding why it is happening, it didn't work for me. I felt it like suppressed and repressed. I want to have coffee, but I was suppressing that desire, suppressing that need. And so after that, I understood, okay, this is an anti-inflammatory food that my inner guidance is telling me to use during that kind of high carb diet, high GI food diet, so that this body can stay here still, at least up to some extent, even though I'm facing health issues and all that from that. So when I was doing this keto diet or carnivore diet, altogether I did for like strictly for 3 months. And after that, whenever I feel like doing it, I will do that. And I also do fasting sometimes. Whenever I feel like doing something, I will do that. That's the metabolic flexibility I experienced, I explored. And so at the time, I did it strictly. But I didn't get that feeling of having coffee at that time. Actually, when I look at the coffee, I didn't feel anything. So I learned, okay, because of the inflammation, I felt like having this coffee. If there is no inflammation, I don't feel like having it at all. Now, I like the taste of the coffee, that milk plus sugar plus coffee is like a combination. I love that. I still love that. But now I'm drinking it on a purpose. When I want to enjoy a nice cup of coffee, I will have it. It won't interfere with my life right now that much. If it is going to interfere with my work, then I won't have it during that work time. I will find another time to have it and enjoy it. And even if there is no coffee, I don't mind. So this is a state we can enter after exploring ourselves and experimenting ourselves. But I stop when that inner guidance is telling me to stop. It took me some time, of course, but we all can try doing that, utilize the frameworks. When we get that calling to stop something that is coming from our inner guidance, when we are getting that calling to do something that is also coming from our inner guidance, then we connect to that, we will do that. When we are disconnected to that, we can't do that. We feel like not doing that. So when I was 3 or 4 years old, if even though I wanted to have coffee, and I was not asking that, that's a suppression and repression, because inner guidance is telling me to do so, such that it can reduce the negative effects happening because of the high carb, high GI food diets. So now I'm not saying it's not like I'm encouraging the addiction here. I'm trying to give this view or my thoughts about understanding the addiction, how it is happening in our life, why we are doing that. So sometimes it will be like toxic friendships. The meditation, let's understand the meditation, because spiritual awakening, enlightenment involves meditation. So when we are doing meditation, we will be used to that bliss state or high state. When there is already a lot of stress in our life, we will naturally tend to do it more and more. And that's how people can enter into this spiritual bypass. That means they are doing the meditation all day long, 24 hours, and their bodies are getting debilitated. If there is no body here, that's not enlightenment. That's not how enlightenment happens. With the body, mind, then only the enlightenment will happen. We need conditioning. Otherwise, our soul will look for another body and mind. That is another life. So we need this body, we need this mind. But the thing that was happening is just conditioning. We are conditioning this body and mind such that there are no blockages or no suppressions for that flow state. So meditation can also become addictive if not practiced properly. Once I did around like 4 hours of meditation, and I felt like, oh my God, stop. I got this from the inside. Until to the point I did meditation, it was also coming from inside. That means I was exploring this meditation, the extremities of spectrum, like too much of meditation. 4 hours is too much for me. For someone else, it may be like around like 15 hours or 20 hours can become so much for them. Each and every person will have their own spectrum with their own extremities. So when we reach there, we will naturally get that calling from the inner guidance. It is our exploration to that extreme point, and then we need to come back to the balanced state. So after that, I felt like, oh, no more meditations for some time. I completely stopped that. But I felt like what we say, discomfort. Because just like coffee, we can't stop that immediately because of the body changes. I just slowly transitioned that way. And after gaining the knowledge, the purpose of coffee, I could see the bigger picture of coffee, the food's inflammation, why I got addicted to that, how I need to stop that, and also how understanding about coffee and high carb diet helped me understand that purpose of coffee and also stay in a balanced state without the too much extremities. Even if I go to that for enjoying the taste, I can quickly come back to that. Not like prolonged years of intake or too high amount of coffee. I won't do like that. So meditation can also be addictive like this. And when that extremity is reached, we will get that noise stop. But immediately after we get that calling annoying, we can't do that. That's why we will be shown frameworks. There is help out there, so where people are sharing their frameworks. It is based on psychology, neuroscience, and meditation based only, and also regular practice by activities. So usually they will say, focus on the other things to get those happy hormones, because of the stress hormones and the information kind of things, only people are getting addicted to the things and they couldn't stop. And we need to slowly transition to the other activities which can provide us with the happy hormones. And say it can be nature, walking in the nature, feeling that freshness and getting that feel of wind, sunlight, subtle sunlight. All of that will give us happy hormones too. And when we eat anti-inflammatory foods, we won't get that much of stress hormones inside our body. So like this, we need to make slow changes, one by one, bit by bit, very small amount of changes in our that whatever the substance reduction or the behavior addiction, that means any toxic friendships or any jobs, we can slowly reduce that. So if we are feeling a job too toxic and we are unable to leave that, we got addicted to that, then we can slowly reduce the exposure. That means we can slowly reduce the work or the exposure to that toxic behaviors. And one day we can slowly come out of that job. So like that, we have different frameworks. We can take help of professionals to do it, or we can study the articles, learn from the experiences, just like this video. I'm sharing my experiences, how I did this. So you can gain knowledge on that. And then we need to ask, we need to get that inner guidance, how to deal with the situation, because modifications are needed depending on our condition, depending on our situation. The knowledge is there, how they dealt with their things, how I dealt with my things, but it may not be exactly the same for you. The framework can be the same, but still modifications are needed here. So addictions are attachments actually. Attachments can be in any form. It can be food-based. Some people are too attached to the high-carb food. So when I share with them, this type of diet will cause these things, and I studied research articles, and I'm sharing with you, but they just can't believe that. They just can't understand that. Even though I'm showing the research articles, and also me as an example, how I suffered before, how I'm able to be okay now, they couldn't even see that. Why? It is their thing. That means their understanding level, that means level of understanding is not too advanced to understand all these concepts. So they are slowly leveling up. Through the experience, they can someday they can know that. Like intense pain or intense suffering, oh, that person shared with me that thing, why can't I follow that? That realization should come from within. All we could do is share the knowledge, just like I'm sharing the knowledge here. I can't make other people do those things. It is their thing. They need to validate with their inner guidance and do that. But the truth is there. Truth is right there. Solution is right there. But how to modify that for their condition, it's all their thing. If they are unable to do that, then they need to do another thing which is more basic than this advanced level of work. That means they need to work on some other things, like any small activity that they are feeling like addictive but are able to stop. It can be like series, some kind of drama or series. They are. I usually feel like addicted to series for some time, and after watching that, its purpose is over. I will just leave that. But before the enlightenment, it was not like that. I want to watch that more and more, like cartoons or video games. We want to do that more and more. But still, we will go to that extreme point and we will got this knowing from the inside and we will slowly start stopping that. So that's how people are experiencing addictions in my study, because we usually watch so many videos or articles how people share their journey of addictions and all that stuff. So in that, I could see people will go to their own extreme state. But this extreme state won't be the same for everyone. Each and everyone will have their own extreme state depending on their previous past conditioning or genetic predispositions. So when they arrive at that extreme point, they will get this inner knowing to stop it. Now they don't know how to stop it, but still they got this knowing, okay, I have to stop it. Now all they need is frameworks to stop them. Frameworks and then practicing it. So now the framework for coffee is reducing a little bit every day in a very small quantity. And I have to practice it every day. Sometimes I may use again 500 ml instead of 490 ml. I won't feel that. Then again, that's okay. We can embrace ourselves. We can feel like that's okay. We shall go to 490 ml again. But for high carb diet, the framework is completely different for me. High carbs are also addictive. Right now, if I tell if you're feeling like addictive to some substance or behavior, I would like to share with you. Almost the 90% of the world are 80, 70%. That means majority of the people are addicted. To what? To the high carb diet. They are eating these high carbs, like wheat, a lot of rice, and as their staple food, and for prolonged time. So many people miss the concept of fasting or this ketosis state because the knowledge was not shared properly with us. So everyone is sharing the same conditioning right now. That means majority of the people are suffering, and people who already suffer and gain this knowledge through experimentation or study, they are maintaining a balanced state where they are enjoying the foods and also trying to maintain the healthy body. From time to time, they are changing the things periodically. So it's like their metabolic flexibility. But in general, everyone is having high carb diet is like addiction right now. They can't stop it. If they could stop it, that means they are exploring their metabolic flexibility. So like that, even though we feel like we are addicted, it is actually an attachment. So we can transfer the knowledge of other things. Like before, we might have experienced such kind of attachment and we practice the detachment. We can transfer that knowledge into anything. So now if you feel like addicted to anything, we can bring that knowledge and put it here, the same framework and the same practice. If it works or not, we have to experiment it by ourselves, explore that. And like that, we can understand the addictions in our life. So even though they look like addictions or any damaging things, most of the time they are the defense mechanisms for our life situations. So instead of quit, we can stay here still with the damaging things. That means we are still able to be here. That's a survival mechanism we usually learn during our childhood or when we are growing up. But we don't need to follow those defense mechanisms or survival mechanisms all through our life. So a time will come for us when we get that calling to stop that, we can stop it right away by following the frameworks. We can take the help from the professionals. If we are unable to afford for them, then also there is free help, like through YouTube videos, articles out there on the internet. It is not like before where we can't access the information. We have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. Now knowledge is like excess knowledge is becoming a problem, but that's okay. When we can maintain the balance in that. If we are feeling like addicted to excess knowledge, then we can utilize the same framework for the knowledge also, where we feel like addicted, then we can reduce the amount and we can come to a balanced state. So this is what I wanted to share for this video. So that's for this video. I hope my views and understanding, my thoughts on addictions in our life helps you in some way to understand your addictions in your life. And also it can, I hope it can help you to look for the solutions, frameworks, which can help you understand your addictions and also move towards a balanced state. And if my frameworks help you in some way, you can let me know in the comment section. And if you like this video, you can hit the like button. And if you have any thoughts, put them in the comment section below. And if you're new to this space, please subscribe to the channel for more videos on self-development, spiritual awakening, and enlightenment. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing my thoughts, views, experiences, and namaste.